Volunteer boards, committees, and commissions provide valuable service to Chatham County by providing guidance and expertise on specific policy areas or topics. However, the BOC has voted to suspend temporarily the Human Relations Committee and the Green Building and Sustainable Energy Committee until they are needed. On September 17th, the Affordable Housing Committee was suspended by the BOC because of lack of staff support. Question: do you believe the missions of these volunteer advisory committees are no longer relevant to the county? And if not, why? It's a 2-minute question. And I think we're with Coast.
I've already spoken about the need for the Human Relations Commission, but let me give you a little more background. At our commissioners meeting, we had all agreed to re-advertise that board, to go out to the public, to talk to people who had already applied for that position, because we were having trouble recruiting people for that board. And we made an agreement as a board to go out and recruit for it. The very next meeting, not on the agenda, one of the commissioners, I believe it was Commissioner Petty, made the motion to suspend it without actually going through and doing what we had agreed on to do before. So the reason that they suspended that, what they said was a lack of interest. But I say, how can you know there's a lack of interest if you didn't try to ask to find out what the interest was? As far as the Green Building Task Force, it was a Green Building Sustainable Energy. The word sustainable has been banned in Chatham County to be used for economic development. I mean, here we have a community college that's known for sustainability in agriculture. We're now told in economic development that we can't use the word sustainable. So that kind of tells you why the Green Building Task Force went away. But one of the things that I would have liked to have seen them do is to develop, work to make a recommendation on what energy standards that we would be using in the county for new facilities. This Board of Commissioners did not believe in LEED. Well, there are other standards out there, and contrary to what they wrote in the newspaper this week, we don't have any energy standards. You know, we are not telling our architects what to do as far as performance in our buildings. So that, the role of that committee, I think the work could continue, but you have to have the commitment by the Board of Commissioners in sustainability, which I just illustrated we do not, and in energy efficiency, which we really don't have much of a record. The issue of affordable housing, we now have this money from Broward Chapel, and one of the first things they could have done was to help us develop a program. We're saying we don't have staff support. We don't have staff support for a lot of our committees. That committee should not have been suspended, which is another word for abolished.
Sustainability does have, it has become a very interesting word, and I'm still trying to explore what it means because there are all sorts of implications to it that are beyond belief. I'm very suspicious of it. I'm sorry, but I am. I don't know what the agenda is behind the people who use it as a core of their policy proposals, and I think we can just move on from that. The LEED program is a little bit harebrained in my view. It has good intentions, but it starts assigning point values for things like bike racks and things like that, and you get this nice plaque on the wall, and are you really saving energy? It doesn't. Anybody who puts a building together is going to want to save money on utilities. They're going to want to super insulate if it's possible. They're going to want larger windows if they think they're appropriate. There are ways of making sure that people settle on these processes without micromanaging them from above as much as I think some people have wanted to. And I think that the fact that the total spending of the county has not gone up and the property taxes have been held at bay for a little while longer is testament to some choices having to be made that I think had to be made, and not everybody's going to like them. That's where we're going. Thank you.
Of course, I started the Affordable Housing Task Force back in 2005. I certainly didn't want the committee to be dissolved, but it was. And I will spend my time on that particular committee. But out of 8 years, it was only recently did any county committee, and we have in the numbers in the 40s, had any staff support. Now, we were trying to figure out some ways for Briar Chapel to actually let us build that housing that we set aside inside Briar Chapel. And so that's why we had staff support. And everybody that was involved in Chatham County with affordable housing was on that committee. It was about 20 people. We tried land trust models. We tried empowerment. We tried to get Habitat in there. They weren't accepted as a builder. Empowerment was not able to keep up what they promised. We turned over 3 lots. They were to build 3 houses. They built one. Took us over a year to sell that one. And I really don't know if it's sold or rented right now because the financing did not close out, but the people are in the house. So Briar Chapel offered us $900,000 plus $1.1 million, which is what those lots would have been worth, to take that money outside and do affordable housing in the community. That's what we did or are doing with the other $1.1 million for the 60 lots they gave to Habitat. The thing with that, you get the money a little at a time. As we're paid as a figure, fill out a phase. Well, when you're a developer and you're finishing up a phase of, say, 14 houses, and you got one lot in the middle of it that's nothing built on, and you can't finish your street because somebody's going to come in later, all your people who've already bought, they're really angry because you can't finish and fix their street, then you're really holding up the contractor from doing what he does, and it's not his fault. So we decided to take that money in a lump sum of $900,000. I've not heard yet whether they have accepted the fact that we will do that, and then that money will go into an affordable housing fund for the county, which we already set up. The money will be used for affordable housing or buying property for future affordable housing only. That's the only thing it can be used for. I feel like it would still be helpful to have that affordable housing committee on board, so when that money does come to the county, we have some more citizen input. Everybody up here has talked about open government citizen input, and that's a good place to get it. Thank you.
I personally serve on an advisory committee for solid waste management for the county, and enjoyed that relationship with staff. And I think that the advisory committees have a role in the county. However, it depends on what roles that advisory committee has, and the question becomes, does that advisory committee start to set policy? When an advisory committee, in my mind, starts to set policy, that's not really an advisory committee. They should be working with county staff, working very closely with the staff, and then the staff takes that working relationship to the next level. I'm not going to go into long dissertations. I mean, Sally and Mike did a very excellent explanation of affordable housing as well as LEED. LEED is another whole discussion relative to the actual need for LEED buildings, but I do absolutely agree that energy efficiency is very important in all our buildings in this county because we're saving money by being energy efficient. So thank you very much.
Are there any rebuttals? Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break and come back to do some audience questions.